Hey everyone! Welcome to Speak Easy English, the podcast where we dive deep into fascinating topics while helping you improve your English naturally. I'm Raul, your curious host who loves asking all the questions.
And I'm Sonia. I'm absolutely passionate about food and everything related to eating habits. I can't wait to share some amazing insights with you all today.
So, Sonia, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Why do people in different cultures have such dramatically different eating habits? Like, what actually shapes how we eat?
Oh, this is such a fascinating question. Geography plays a huge role, first of all. Think about it. People living near the ocean naturally developed seafood-heavy diets, while those in mountainous regions relied more on preserved foods and hearty grains.
Right, that makes sense.
But here's what's really interesting. Climate also affects meal timing. In hot countries, people often eat their largest meal during the cooler parts of the day. That's why many Mediterranean countries have late dinners, sometimes at 9 or 10 p.m.
Wow, I never connected climate to meal timing before. What about the whole breakfast thing, though? Some cultures seem obsessed with big breakfasts, while others barely eat anything in the morning.
Exactly. This goes back to work patterns and social structures. Agricultural societies traditionally needed substantial morning meals to fuel physical labor that started at dawn.
Mm-hmm.
But in many Asian cultures, breakfast was traditionally lighter because the main meal happened later when the family could gather together. It's really about social bonding versus practical energy needs.
That's so interesting. So, eating habits are basically shaped by survival needs and social values. But what happens when those original reasons disappear? Like, why do people stick to certain habits even when the circumstances change?
Oh, you're touching on something psychological here. Food habits become deeply emotional and tied to identity. When your grandmother makes her special soup recipe, you're not just eating soup, you're connecting with family history, comfort, and belonging.
Right, absolutely.
This is why changing eating habits is so challenging. It's not just about nutrition or convenience. You're literally challenging someone's sense of who they are. Food becomes part of cultural identity.
This explains so much about why diet trends fail, but I'm curious about something else. With globalization, are we seeing eating habits become more similar worldwide, or are people actually becoming more protective of their food traditions?
Both things are happening simultaneously. On one hand, you can find McDonald's and Starbucks almost everywhere now, creating some universal eating experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's also this incredible counter-movement where people are becoming more interested in authentic, local food traditions. Food tourism is booming because people want to experience genuine local flavors, not just international chains.
That's fascinating. So we're getting both homogenization and preservation happening at the same time. What about the health aspect, though? Are traditional eating habits generally healthier than modern ones?
This is where it gets really complex. Traditional diets were shaped by necessity. People ate what was available locally and seasonally. This often resulted in more variety over time and less processed food.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing, traditional doesn't automatically mean healthy. Some traditional diets were nutritionally limited due to geographical constraints. The key difference is that traditional eating included natural portion control and more physical activity.
So it's not just what people ate, but how they lived overall. What about eating schedules? I've noticed some people are really strict about meal times, while others just eat whenever they feel hungry.
Oh, this touches on something really important. Your body actually develops expectations based on when you usually eat. If you always eat lunch at noon, your digestive system starts preparing around 11:30.
Really? That's amazing.
But modern life has disrupted these natural rhythms for many people. Shift workers, busy parents, people in different time zones, they often eat irregularly, which can affect metabolism and digestion. Regular meal timing isn't just social convenience, it's actually physiological support.
So our bodies are literally expecting food at certain times.
That explains why I get hungry at the same time every day, even when I'm not thinking about food. What about emotional eating, though? Is that a modern phenomenon or has that always existed?
Emotional connections to food are as old as humanity. Celebrations, mourning rituals, comfort during illness, food has always carried emotional significance. But what's changed is the availability and type of food we use for emotional support.
Right.
Traditional comfort foods were usually prepared at home and shared with others. Now we can instantly access highly processed comfort foods designed to trigger pleasure responses. It's the same emotional need, but expressed through very different food experiences.
That's such a profound shift. So we've gone from communal comfort to individual instant comfort. Speaking of modern trends, what do you think about all these new eating patterns? Intermittent fasting, plant-based diets, keto. Are these genuinely beneficial or just trends?
Great question. Many of these modern trends are actually rediscovering traditional practices. Intermittent fasting, for example, mirrors historical eating patterns when food wasn't constantly available.
Interesting.
Plant-based eating was common in many traditional cultures simply because meat was expensive or scarce. The difference now is that these are conscious choices rather than economic necessities, and we have better nutritional knowledge to make them work effectively.
So we're basically coming full circle in some ways. Before we wrap up, I have to ask, if someone wanted to develop healthier eating habits, what's the most important thing to focus on? That's really fascinating how these old patterns are being rediscovered. But I'm curious about something. How do different generations within the same family handle these changes? Like, what happens when younger people adopt completely different eating styles than their parents?
Start with awareness, not restriction. Pay attention to when, where, and why you eat. Are you eating because you're hungry, bored, stressed, or social? Understanding your personal eating patterns is the foundation for any positive change. Ugh, this creates such interesting family dynamics. I see this all the time. Young adults going vegan while their parents still cook traditional meat-centered meals, or grandparents who can't understand why their grandchildren are skipping breakfast for intermittent fasting.
That's such practical advice. Sonia, this has been absolutely fascinating. I feel like I understand so much more about why we eat the way we do.
Right, exactly. I can totally relate to that.
Thank you, Rahul. I love sharing this stuff. Food is just such a window into human behavior and culture. What's really interesting is that these generational food conflicts often represent deeper conversations about values, health, and identity. The older generation might see food changes as a rejection of family tradition, while younger people see them as personal health choices or ethical stances.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Speak Easy English. If you enjoyed this conversation about food and eating habits, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. We release new episodes every week covering fascinating topics like this one. That makes so much sense. It's like food becomes a battleground for different worldviews. But speaking of modern approaches, what about all this technology that's getting involved in eating now? Food delivery apps, meal planning algorithms, nutrition tracking. Is technology helping or hurting our relationship with food?
And remember, your English improves naturally when you're engaged with interesting content. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Technology is definitely a double-edged sword here. On the positive side, apps can help people track nutrition, discover new healthy recipes, and even connect with local food producers. Some people have learned to cook for the first time using online tutorials.
Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.
That's true, yeah.
But there's also a concerning side. Food delivery can disconnect us from food preparation, making eating more passive and less mindful. And all this data tracking can sometimes create obsessive relationships with food, where people focus more on numbers than on how food actually makes them feel.